Hello teams, this is Les Bennett, Learning and Development Manager with the Stewart Restaurant Group. Today I want to talk about the E10 air code. So what is an E10 air code? Well, when it comes to our velocity fryers, that air code shows up when the high limit has tripped. So what does a high limit do? When the fryer overheats, the high limit will trip, which therefore cuts electricity to the heating elements. And once that happens, the fryer can no longer heat up. So it's a safety device. And when that happens, we let the fryer cool down and we can reset it using the reset button down here. But what I want to talk about today is false trips. In other words, that the fryer keeps tripping. It keeps going into this E10 air code randomly throughout the day. It's an intermittent trip. In other words, the fryer's not actually overheating, but yet throughout the day, your fryer keeps going into this E10 air code over and over again, and there's no rhyme or reason, and the fryer's not overheating. So I want to look at today why that's happening. All right, so now what would cause a false trip? Well, we could have parts going out, but usually one of the biggest issues is we're going to have carbon buildup on our high limit probes. So where are our high limit probes? Well, I've just drained this fryer and I let it cool down a little bit. It's always best to let the fryer cool down, but we're going to look for our high limit probes. And what we do is as we go in, the high limit probes, they both come in on this side and they're going to be attached to this retaining clip right here. As I get in here, let's scroll down here. You can see there's two of them down there. There's these two stainless steel probes, and they're both attached to this piece right here. You can see them both in there. They're down there. Now, these ones aren't that bad. I've cleaned them before, but normally these would be all built up with black carbon. So what I'm going to be doing here, first thing I'm going to do in order to clean these is I'm going to be removing these two screws. Now, this is already cooled down a little bit, so I can touch this. I'm going to remove this screw and the screw down here, and this whole clip will come off. So let me do that right now. All right, now that I've loosened it, this is going to come right off. Now as it comes off, you can already see all that debris that fell down there. That was on this right here. So what I'm going to do now is I got that off. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to clean it in a moment. But now you can see those two probes right there. And what I'm going to do is you got to be very careful not to bend these probes or to break them. But sometimes what you can do is you can get in there with a brush, but I can even, if I wanted to, is I'm going to take a screwdriver here in a moment and I'm going to pull them out a little bit and I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about cleaning them. All right, now as you can see, what I did is I very carefully took a flathead screwdriver and I put it in there just to kind of pull both of those probes away from the heating element. Now in this process, you want to be very careful to not really damage your heating element by scrubbing it or really chipping it with any kind of device. So I'm trying not to really mess with the heating element, but I want to get to those probes. Now again, these probes, you can tell they're pretty clean. They're stainless steel, but often they'll be completely black and built up with carbon. Now different things you can use is I have a brush here that I use. I also have this brush I'm going to get in there with. You might just have this brush. Another thing I would do is if they were built up with a lot of carbon, is I would use just a flathead screwdriver here, and I can get in there and very carefully try to chip off the carbon with the screwdriver. So I'm really going to get in there and just try to clean up any carbon, and I'm going to get in there with all my tools here, and I'm going to try to do the best I can to really just clean these probes as best as I can to get them nice and shiny, again, without really trying to damage the heating element. But I'm going to try to get all the debris off. I'm going to clean it. Then after that, I'm going to come back. All right, so now I've got in there. I've really done the best I can cleaning these. These were, again, they weren't too bad to begin with. I'm shining my light on them. They're nice and shiny now. Again, there's two of them. There's one on top, there's one below it. And I've kind of rinsed out the fryer. I got my brackets, I kind of cleaned them up. Got all the carbon off. So again, that carbon that builds up on top of those, that's what's causing some of those false readings, which is giving you that E10 air code all the time. So cleaning these should hopefully help solve the issue. Now, in my experience doing this, usually putting this back on is usually the biggest challenge of all this. So making sure the fryers cool down is usually pretty helpful. So as I go to put this back on, just remember that these slots that you see, this is the piece that goes on the back. These slots are where the probes fit in. And the probe is going to fit outside of this just a little bit. So I'll show you here in a moment as I go put mine back on. All right, so now we have the clip back in there nice and tight. You can see both of those probes are in there. They both stick out of that retaining clip about 1/2 inch. I want to make sure that this clip is in there nice and tight so it doesn't move. It's a good time to also check the other clips. And what these clips also do, their main purpose is to make sure that your heating elements are spaced out evenly. So with this in there, with your probes nice and clean, hopefully this will resolve most of your false E10 air codes. If you continue to have those false trips, there's a good chance that maybe some of your parts are going out. So hopefully you find this video useful and helpful in your process of trying to resolve your E10 air code.